I
Anyways,
took one animation class in college.
Yeah.
I can tell you, it's not fun. Drawing all those frames.
I took a 3D animation class as well. Did not turn out well.
It was more of a 2D animation class.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Popcorn Bucket List. Welcome to the first week of one of the best months of summer blockbusters I feel like I have seen on the calendar in a long time. I've been looking forward to this month for a while now, and we're going to get into some really good movies here throughout the next few weeks. So you're going to want to check it out here, figure out what to watch, what not to watch. If I seem a little distracted, if I seem a little cranky, it's because rain delays made the one of the biggest NASCAR events of the year got pushed to Monday. So I'm kind of watching it live right now as well. I haven't been liking how the race has been going and all that. So let's just get into something that is going to bring me a little bit of joy here, movies and talking about them and all that. Today, we have a special guest here. We've been previewing it. We've been teasing. We're going to bring more guests on. We finally got scheduling to work here. I call him Mr. Fantastic, Reed Sherman here on the show.
That's me.
Yes, that is you. By you knew it wasn't him. You knew it wasn't me. That is Reed. Yes. Yeah, I brought him on here today because we're going to talk about animated movies. And if there's one conversation, you're a smart guy. If there's one conversation I feel like we have ever vehemently disagreed on, it's actually animated movies for the most part.
Not my favorite, for sure.
Yeah, the ones you do like are the ones I vehemently hate. So I didn't want to just bring on some yes man over here to just agree with whatever I had to say. No, I wanted to throw a wrench into the machine here today. Even though that's usually your job.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens here today. So, yeah, getting a little too ahead of myself. But, yes, today for the opening spotlight, we are talking underrated animated movies. We are doing this as we are continuing our partnership with the Marshall-Lyon County Library. A lot of the ones we're going to be talking about here today, you can check out there here in the near future, probably by the time this comes out and everything. So let's just get into it. First things first, let's talk about underrated. I left it open to interpretation. I know you kind of asked me what are we counting as underrated. I kind of have the way I defined it. You kind of had a way you defined it. I'm sure you had a way you kind of defined it. So let's just get into that. I'll say first and foremost, when I was looking at this, when I was thinking underrated, I thought to myself, movies that I feel like aren't talked about enough. Or maybe should be talked about more. Yeah, that's kind of where more my headspace was at. How about you guys? What did you use to define it?
So the way I went about it, I thought about that as well. Ones that weren't talked about enough, but I ultimately decided on. I Googled it and I saw what the ratings were, and if the ratings were worse than what I would have rated them, then I considered it underrated.
Okay. Figured
that was a
good
logical
way.
Way to
very logical, very that smart aspect that we talked about earlier. Yep. I kind of did the complete opposite of both of you guys. I looked at some of my favorite movies, and then I thought, of these movies, have my friends seen these? And if they haven't seen them, then they're the ones I'm going to pick.
So essentially you went underseen, underscored, under-talked about, which I actually do kind of think shows off our personalities here, actually. Yeah. That couldn't have gone better, I think.
That's why I think The Northman should have won Best Picture last year.
You got to stop talking about The Northman, man. That's not even animated.
I know.
Totally different.
It was
different
the best movie
conversation.
of the year last year.
I should probably watch it then.
You should. No, you should watch the actual Best Picture winner of the year, Everything Everywhere All at Once. But
I need to watch that as well.
Yeah, you should watch mine first, though. Mine first, right?
Right. Save the best for last.
If you ever want to be on the show again, you'll watch mine first, right?
Afterwards.
No. If you ever want to be on the show again, you'll watch mine first. And that is what it looks like when power goes to someone's head. But let's get right into it. We're going to do top 4. Why? Because we're just a little weird like that. Reed, why don't you kick us off? What is your 4th pick for most underrated?
Let's see.
I should have took a picture of mine, too. I'm hoping I remembered mine.
You're good.
With the movie Valiant from 2005. If you haven't seen this or heard of it, it is about the carrier pigeons from World War II.
Oh, actually, now that you say that, I haven't seen it, but I've seen a trailer for it. I know I can see it. Yeah.
I remembered watching it as a kid, and when I was looking through list of movies that I had, I was like, this was a good movie. I remember liking this movie, and so I watched it yesterday just to make sure that it wasn't nostalgia, and it wasn't the greatest animation, but I like the story. It kind of has that young Captain America joining the military, and even though he was weaker and ended up, now this pigeon wasn't injected with super serum, but
superhuman serum.
But yeah, it's a classic zero to hero story.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Ryan, what about you? What's number 4 on your list?
So for number 4, since as you know, I'm a very music guy. I like music. I especially like music that's a little more heavy. Hence, the film I'm going with is heavy metal. It's I want to say a 1981, maybe.
I'll fact check that later. I'm not going to look that up.
Oh,
right
okay,
now.
yeah. It's
we'll just say 1980s.
Yeah, and it's
general
anthology series. So there's like a couple different stories in it, and they use some different animation styles, and the soundtrack is awesome. It's all heavy metal music, and I remember I watched it when I was pretty young. It does slide a little bit more on the risque side.
So yeah, the one that's going to be number 4 in my book here actually probably wouldn't have made it in if I didn't just have a recent conversation here that you were technically around or a part of.
Okay.
Cinderella 3. Well, no, you were just there. You weren't actually necessarily part of it. I'm just saying you might remember this. This happened very recently. Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time. Yeah, I know. Nick, why are you recommending a Cinderella movie?
A 3. Not a sequel, but a sequel to the sequel.
The second one, forgettable. But I do remember seeing the third one. I'm like, wow, this is actually, first of all, it's got some time travel-y, alternate timeline stuff. That is right up Nick's alley. That is where Nick lives, is an alternate timeline stuff. I even rewatched the trailer for this one. Just kind of curious, looking into doing some research here. This was a what if story before Marvel did what if.
Okay.
Because literally throughout the entire trailer, they're like, what if the slipper never fit? What if they didn't dance with the print? And it's basically, for those of you who don't know, it's this story where Cinderella has happily ever after. Unfortunately, the fairy godmother loses the magic wand to the evil stepmother, and she starts then doing magic. Like, okay, I'm going to rewrite the timeline here, basically making one of the stepsisters got with Prince Charming.
So the fairy godmother isn't magical. Her wand is.
Yeah, that's kind of that's kind of what I noticed too. As I was like literally looking, I was like, wait, you kind of think it's the fairy god? No, it's just whoever.
It's just the wand.
Everyone picks up this wand and just starts doing spells. The fairy godmother's just her who just happens to have this wand.
Isn't that like a Green Lantern?
Whoever
only because he has the key, the ring.
Well, the ring has to kind of accept you too, I think.
Oh, okay.
Like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But
the wand chooses the wizard, Harry.
No, not in this case. The wand is just whoever's holding it, man. that's kind of terrifying if you think about it. But anyways,
this is a kids movie.
Yeah, this is a kids movie.
Okay.
It's got fun. It brings back a lot of the animal characters, and there's a lot of humor in that too. And the other thing is, like, I don't know, the original Cinderella came out way back in the day.
Yeah.
This sequel didn't come out until like 2007.
Okay.
So I don't know who decided at one point to do this third one. But it's worth a check out. So let's move on to the next round here, on to our number 3 picks. Let's kind of rotate the order here. Ryan, why don't you go first on this one? What's your number 3?
So my number 3, I'm kind of kicking it old school a little bit again. Well, actually, 3 of my 4 films are old school. It is the original animated film, The Hobbit. I remember watching this on TV when I was a kid. Before I knew anything about Lord of the Rings, before I knew about The Hobbit, before I knew that it was a book, I just watched it and I thought this was really cool. And I liked the animation style when I watched it. I haven't seen it recently, so I could be looking through a haze right now, but I really enjoyed it when I was younger. And like you said, like, I'm obviously a big Lord of the Rings fan, and when I ask people if they've seen it, nobody has any idea what I'm talking about. So in my opinion, that was one of the underrated ones.
I did know what you're talking
You
about.
know? Yeah.
Because I watched last week's episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
We talked about,
Yeah.
This may be the only show that talked about the animated Hobbit movie 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
This may be the only movie show that's talked about it twice in general, if we're going to be completely honest. But that's just what we do here. I'll go next then quick. I'm going to double down. This is another sort of, I'm going to talk about 2 Disney movies here, and then the other ones I swear aren't Disney movies. I'm not just bowing to the mouse here.
Yep.
But my number 3 pick, Atlantis, The Lost Empire.
Ooh.
Michael J. Fox. I was a huge Back to the Future fan even as a kid. So just hearing his voice, obviously, like watching this as a kid, I was like, I know that voice. That's familiar. That sounds good to Nick. Young little Nick, who was probably like 5-6 years old when this came out, whatever. But yeah, it's an adventure movie. It's kind of treasure hunting, all that other stuff. I talked about time travel as a big subgenre for me. Treasure hunting, going on adventures like that. That's kind of another big one. That's probably in my top 5 there.
Like a national treasure.
Kind of like a national treasure-esque thing, with
Yeah.
some magic to it too, and this awesome, it's sort of this like magic tech, like kind of like Thor talks about. How I was like, well, you call it science, I call it magic, kind of that same.
Yeah.
Thing,
What year did that come out?
I want to say 2002.
Okay, because it
was early 2000s.
I remember watching that, and like I want to say I saw a trailer or a poster of it at the movie theater, and I might have watched it at the movie theater, but just seeing like the, I would say, classic trailer with all the characters in the triangle and the ship and the water, and yeah, it was cool.
I was close. 2001.
2001. Okay, yep.
Round us out in this round here, Reed. What do you got? What's your number 3 pick?
I've got Lego: The Adventures of Clutch Powers from 2010.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's a deep cut.
Never heard of that.
Really?
Lego The Adventures. I'm sorry. I'm trying to type this one out. What is it?
It is called Lego: The Adventures of Clutch Powers.
Clutch Powers.
So
I thought you were going to go like the Lego movie or Lego
No.
Ninjago. No, tell us about this one. I've not heard about this one.
It's like the original Lego movie. I remembered watching it as a kid because my dad's a big Lego guy.
I've seen your dad's office. Yeah, I get it. Yep.
So this was a show that I had watched as a kid, and if you know Lego, Clutch Power is what they call with the bricks being able to connect to each other. And so the guy's name is that. But anyways, it's about this group of people that go on an adventure to stop this evil wizard.
And
guy.
they're Lego people.
It's like the Lego movie.
Yeah.
But it's older. It's
20 years before its time.
It's still good animation. Yeah. It's great. I love it. It's if you've ever seen those commercials where they're like, they need your help with building this Lego set or whatever.
Yeah.
And Lego City needs your help. It's kind of
like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely recommend it. It's great. There's a lot of funny lines. This is one. I wrote down a couple. There was a point where the evil wizard's looking for someone, and he says, "I told you to bring me a minifig. This is a real fig." I thought that one was good. And then another one, this ogre goes, "This is not the man you're looking for." a little Star Wars reference, and I'm like, that's great. There's so many little one-liners.
Just little
in this,
one-liners?
It is a great movie.
Oh, that's funny. That sounds really funny, actually. Yeah, I'll have to check that out because I know we've watched a lot of the Lego movies, like Lego Ninjago, some of the other stuff that they have because the kids like them. So
I cannot say that I like any of the new Lego movies.
I didn't say I liked it. I said we watched it.
Especially Ninjago, just because I grew up watching the Lego Ninjago TV show, and I loved it, and then the movie just completely ruined it.
Yep.
They completely missed the mark.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, we talk a lot about movies on this channel, but sometimes the ones we talk about aren't the most accessible. That's where the Marshall-Lyon County Library comes in handy. They have a great collection of physical media, as well as a couple of online services with many, many options for movies, TV shows, and documentaries. It's easy. Just get your own library card at the Marshall-Lyon County Library and gain access to their large variety of movies, TV shows, and of course, books. Also, be sure to check back every month as we here at Popcorn Bucket List make specific movie recommendations based on a monthly theme. This month, we're taking a look at the most underrated animated movies. So head on over to the Marshall-Lyon County Library for some of our favorites and check out the channel to get even more movie recommendations. And now, on with the show! All All right, I'll kick us off here when we move on to number 2 here. I've maybe talked about this movie before. Shia LaBeouf, before he got really, really weird, Surf's Up. This is the penguin surfing movie.
Oh, yeah.
I am amazed how not more people saw this. This is a pretty good cast here. You got Shia LaBeouf. Jeff Bridges is in it.
Okay.
Zoe Deschanel, I believe, is in it. Some others that you've definitely heard of. It's got some really, really funny humor. It's a mockumentary, so it's shot like a documentary, but, it's got these, interview style things, and it's about this penguin, trying to become a top surfer. And yeah, it's a ridiculous premise. So what? So is toys coming to life. What if? I think it's actually more probable the penguins would learn how to surf, if I'm going to be completely honest here. But it's got some really funny running gags. There's this one part where his friend Chicken Joe is like, at one point Cody, Shia LaBeouf's character, goes missing, and so his friend Chicken Joe is trying to find him. And he keeps running into the natives and everything, and one of the camera people keeps getting hit by some of the projectiles and everything. It's kind of dark, but it's kind of funny too. Jeff Bridges is really, really good in this. It's got some heart to it, I think. And it's really funny to me. I don't know why more people don't talk about this. This was kind of DreamWorks, or this was Sony Animation, I should say. So they haven't been known too much, but they do have every once in a while these movies that just come out of nowhere every once in a while. More recently, like Mitchells and the Machines, I believe, was Sony Animation. That came out last year and was pretty good as well. So they don't come out with a lot of great stuff, but when they do, they swing hard.
Yeah, and I think having Jeff Briggs as a voice actor would be awesome. I really like his voice.
And he's going more Lebowski with his voice, and not so much the tough, gruff, hell or high water voice. Where he's like, well, now listen to me here. He's more like I'm the dude. I'm the penguin surfer.
I'm the penguin surfer, man. Now, let's be clear, is it surfing or body surfing? Are the penguins riding surfboards?
Yeah, they're riding surfboards.
They make their own surfboards and everything. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it's really good. Thank you for bagging up on that.
I do agree with you on this one.
I was probably too old for that when that came out. I don't remember that.
I'll lend you my DVD copy, and I might be one of the only people.
Do you have a VHS player? Or
no. It was late. It was
Hmm.
later. It was on DVD. It was on DVD. It was like mid 2000s.
Yeah, I do have a VHS player that I still have movies for. I haven't fired it up lately.
I was gonna say, does it still work?
No, I have to give a shout out to the Moes, because they, when I was asking for one, they found one and got it for me. So, because the one I had broke. Imagine that.
Yeah,
fresh off 1992.
All right, Reed, hit us with your number 2 underrated animated pick.
I'm gonna have to go Tarzan 2 from 2005.
Ooh.
So I'd like to say that this one was rated 33% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I cannot believe that. It seems extremely
Remind me,
low.
this is one of those where they called it 2, but it's technically when he's younger.
Yes.
See,
exactly.
those always bothered me because, like, technically that's a prequel, but they're calling it a sequel.
It was the second one they made, so
Yeah.
they
Supposed
have
to
to
be
put the
Tarzan .0.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
like-
kind of like Lion King 1.5. Like, no, you're technically 0.5 because you're taking place, whatever. But that has nothing to do with the story. That's just semantics in my part. But continue. What is it about this movie that you think deserves a higher rating?
Again, it's another one that I saw as a kid, and that's what all these picks are for me, was ones that I saw as a kid. And when I looked and I was like, I really like this movie, and I watched them all again just to make sure that it wasn't nostalgia. And it's so funny. It is a really funny movie. Animation's great. Good music. It's still Phil Collins and Mark Mancino. They did the soundtrack again. And like the main premise behind it is that young Tarzan doesn't feel like he fits in with his ape family. So he goes off on his own and tries to figure out what he is, because he doesn't know what a human is.
Yep.
And he comes across this old monkey that they called Zugar. And he'd yell into this canyon, and he'd just yell, Zugar! And it'd scare all these people, and they're all afraid of Zugar. Turns out it's just this old little monkey yelling Zugar. And yeah, it's a great movie. It's got that heartfelt.
Yeah, and it's the same animation style as the first one, right?
Yeah.
Or the first animated one.
I was going to say, I think a lot of these have been 2D animation, except for, I know Surf's Up, that was a computer generated. I'm assuming Lego was probably computer generated, but I think a lot of these have been 2D animation.
Yeah.
What does that say about our picks? A lot of them are 2D. We haven't talked a lot about Is that just kind of...
Well, I guess I don't necessarily know what style you would call heavy metal and my next pick because they're all over the board.
Well, why don't you get into that one? What is your next pick there?
So
Perfect
my next pick is Wizards by Ralph Bansky or something like that. I don't know if I can spell that or say that correctly. But super interesting dude. I remember I've seen pictures, and you guys have probably seen pictures. He's kind of got a cult following for a lot of his films. They do lean pretty hard into the how do I want to say this? More not necessarily adult entertainment, but there is swearing, there's fighting, and Wizards is a story of super funny. I think it came out the first time right when Star Wars did. And Mark Hamill voices the main character. He's a wizard. He's not a wizard, but he is joined with a wizard, and they have to go fight the king. And there's all kinds of crazy animation, different styles, and like when they're doing the fighting war scenes, it's like pretty intense, and they use like the film projection on top of animation to do the fighting, and it's awesome.
So I looked it up.
Yeah.
And on IMDb,
Nazis.
Yeah.
There's Nazis in there. They fight Nazis.
So for those of you who don't know, if you look up something on IMDb, sometimes next to the poster, they'll just automatically start playing the teaser trailer. Mm-hmm. So as you're describing it, I'm getting a visual here. Sure enough, there is a swastika where you said adult animation. This is not for kids.
Yeah, this is definitely not for kids.
And you're right. Yeah, 1977, same year Star Wars came out. So big year for Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
And just to clarify, I don't think they're actually fighting the Nazis, but
that was the swastika, and that dude definitely did a salute.
But some of the battle sequences, they took real battle footage and then animated on top of it. So this is definitely more for the art and the actual, but the story's pretty good too. The story's good, but it's I loved this film. I thought it was awesome, and Ralph has had if you have a chance, definitely look him up. There's some good videos about his history and how he got to where he's been. Really interesting.
All right. Just like that, we've moved on to our number one here. Reed, why don't you kick us off? What is your number one most underrated animated movie?
You guys already know this one. Cars 2.
Oh, come on.
I knew it.
You promised you wouldn't.
I never said I wouldn't. I told you right away.
I thought you were joking. I thought you said it as a joke.
Cars 2, it is one of the best animated movies. And you guys say that it's not great.
It's not just us.
The classic sequel is worse than the first one, and then they say that the third one redeems it. But I personally did not like the third one. Mm-hmm. I thought the first one was great. Can't top the first one. But Cars 2 is good. It is still a good movie.
You think it gets all the shame that it doesn't deserve?
I think Nick doesn't like it because it's not just racing in circles. Because that's what he likes.
As he's listening to a race right now.
Exactly.
That's not okay. That's what you said is part. No, that's not at all why I don't. Hold up. Now this feels like an attack on my character. I was going to let it be. I was going to let you have your moment here, but now you've attacked me as a person. I like more than just racing in circles. I like the Monaco Grand Prix. Okay. That's one of the most challenging races ever.
You like Cars 1, right?
I like Cars 1.
You like Cars 3?
Not as much as a lot of people.
Okay. Well, I was going to say they're both about racing in circles because it's American racing.
They race on road courses too.
But they're racing in circles. And this one, it's Formula or F1 racing or whatever. And so they've got all the different.
It's just kind of a hodgepodge, really, of just a bunch of cars from different series, which is weird.
Like the Grand Prix is what they call it.
And isn't Cars 2 a lot more like with Maynard?
Yeah.
It is about Mater, yeah. It's about Mater being a secret spy and the funniest part about it, or like the main premise, is that the spies thought he was an American spy, and they didn't realize that he was just a tow truck, and he kept telling them, and they're like, oh yeah, you're right, you're just a tow truck, and we're just doing this for fun, we're not actually spies.
Yeah.
That's like the whole premise, and I think it's a great movie. It's about friendship and being yourself no matter if you don't fit in.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great story message for kids to watch, and it's funny. I mean, it's Mater. Mater's hilarious.
Larry the Cable Guy, it's a car.
Because you're the special guest. I'm going to bite my tongue on that one. All I'm going to say is you say Larry the Cable Guy Mater's fun. He was significantly less in the third movie, and I don't think that was a coincidence. Ryan, why don't you hit us with your number one? What's your number one most underrated animated movie? Kind
of going off of doing a U-turn, since we're talking about cars, my number one is it's a kids movie, very kids friendly. It is Kubo and Two Strings. Don't know if you guys have seen it. One of I don't even remember what year this came out, but this is one film I actually think I watched twice in the theater. I watched it once by myself and then once with some friends or family. I absolutely loved it. Great story, and I thought the animation was so well done. It was unique. It was slightly different than anything. Can you check what year that came out? And was it nominated for some?
I believe it was.
I don't think it won, but that was actually like. There's not a lot of times where I'm rooting for an animated film for their categories, but this one I was actually hoping it was going to win, and I don't think it did. But this film, absolutely wonderful. It dives into different cultures, and the music's phenomenal. The music's great, and I really liked it. Really liked it.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
Kubo and Two Strings. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that one's been on my list to watch. It's for a long time. I feel shame I haven't watched it yet. Came out in 2016, and you talked about kind of rooting for it. It was going up against Inside Out for best animated picture, and that is any other year it would have a better chance. Yeah. But
and in my opinion, I think it's way better than Inside Out. I think it's much deeper than. But granted, I haven't seen either of these films in probably since 2016. So
Inside Out is pretty deep.
Fact check. Okay, so Oscars are weird. What you say it comes out a certain year, but it's actually then the next year that it's
year's
nominated.
Oscars.
Okay, so it actually wasn't against Inside Out. And looking at the nominees here, I really wish it had won, and I can't believe it didn't. I was going up against Moana, Zootopia, The Red Turtle, My Life as a Courgette, I don't know what that one is, and Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yeah, and I think Moana probably won, obviously.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And I don't get me wrong. I like Moana. My kids like Moana. My wife likes Moana. I think Kubo's better.
I think Kubo was robbed that year for sure.
I'm going to watch that, and I'll get back to you, because I like Moana.
Let me know. Yeah, I'm not saying I don't like it. Moana's good, but I think Kubo was better. And since they had such a different animation style, it's different. But when you watch on the big screen, it's pretty apparent. But when you're watching on a 42-inch TV,
not sure what sound that's supposed to represent, but I'll move on to my number one underrated animated movie here. And again, I believe underrated as in not talked about enough. Mm-hmm. We talked about last week live-action remakes, taking fairy tales. No, it's not a live-action remake, but it's just kind of a segue.
I was going to say, wow.
So you told me no live-action?
Yeah, no.
That's my thing.
No. That would have been hypocritical of me. No, that's just kind of my segue here. But we talked about how we wish they would take some of these fairy tales, some of these stories, do something different, do something new with them. You can do that with a lot of these. And this, I think, does that. Hoodwinked. This is another 3D computer-generated animated movie. Yep. Not the best animation. It's especially when you consider how far we had come with Pixar and everything, wasn't the greatest, but you have here a cast of characters in their fairy tales in a completely different story in like a true crime setting. Mm-hmm. I mean, who in their mind read Red Riding Hood and the Grandma and the Wolf and thought, you know what?
True crime.
These guys would be great in a robbery, like mass robbery, like criminal conspiracy story with some interesting detective characters and police and all that. I think it does have a sequel. Unfortunately, I haven't watched that one, but this one was just kind of a surprise to me. A lot of interesting humor. It kind of toes the line where, they are convicted, almost being tried for a crime here. It's kind of a serious thing. But it is like kind of humorous for kids to enjoy as well, but doesn't really fall too many adult jokes like you see in Pixar and stuff like that. So I just think it was just kind of a surprise hit out of nowhere that I don't think gets talked about enough. Personally.
Yep. I agree with that. I remember when that film came out and it was very blah. There was no fanfare. There was no hype for it.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Let's take a quick pause here and talk about the Marshall Six Theater here in Marshall, Minnesota. I keep saying that June this year is possibly the greatest month of summer blockbusters that I have seen in a long time. So you're going to want to keep up to date. You're not going to want to miss any of them. The best place to check all these great movies out is at the Marshall Six Theater. They got great concessions, great seats, and great times to be had over there. So head on over to the Marshall Six Theater so that way you don't miss out on any of this summer's great summer blockbusters.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
That is everything here, but we're not done talking about animated movies here. Let's move on to the weekly preview where, like I said, first week of June, huge month for blockbusters, and we're kicking off on a high note here. We didn't really get into this because most movie channels, they do like their summer preview, most look forward to. Yep. We preview every week. There really wasn't a point for us to do that.
Yep.
So I didn't get a chance to say this earlier. Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse may be my most looked forward to movie of the summer. Mm-hmm. And considering the lineup we have the rest of this year, that's saying something.
Yeah.
Like I said, sequel to the smash hit surprise Into the Spider-Verse. If you thought Spider-Man No Way Home was crazy having 3 Spider-Man in one movie, you ain't seen nothing yet, kid.
Yeah.
This breaks the multiverse into shatters and just goes all in. So many characters, so many references. Even some of the most diehard Spider-Man fans are probably going to be like, well, who's that one? Because they left no stone unturned here. Miles Morales is back. We're going to go more into the multiverse. We're going to find out more and more of what it takes to be a Spider-Man, what it takes to be a hero in this world. And the animation style looks like it's going to be the same as the first one, which I thought was super, super creative. Originally, they said this was going to be a simple trilogy, like 1, 2, 3 movies. Now, this second one, they've kind of said, well, like the teaser trailer made it sound like this was part 1 of 2. So I don't know if part 2 is still just going to be the third movie in this trilogy or if it's going to be a 4-movie trilogy. Yeah. Regardless, I want as many more of these as we can here probably. But I feel like we're seeing a trend here because you had this one not only splitting into 2 movies, but a super long movie. It's like 2-hour, 20-minute runtime.
Okay, yeah, that is pretty long, especially for
an animated movie.
Animated film. That's pretty long.
Those poor hands.
We'll see if Nick likes it.
I
think about runtime.
My knuckles. He does. I do have a thing about runtime. That is very true, and that could be the reason I might. If they could just keep me entertained, I'll be fine. But my knuckles are sore just thinking about all those poor animators trying to do this.
Well,
It's how in my mind. I don't know.
I took one animation class in college.
Yeah.
I can tell you, it's not fun. Drawing all those frames.
I took a 3D animation class as well. Did not turn out well.
It was more of a 2D animation class.
Kind of. It did not go. I tried to animate a tornado, but I spent so much time in the spinning of the vortex, but I made the color too dark so you couldn't even tell it was spinning.
Oh.
So I spent like 3 days just figuring out the animation of the spin, only for you to just watch the final project, and it's like, well, you can't even really tell the tornado's spinning. It was bad. It was so bad. And it was like a 30-second clip. Yeah. This is a 2-hour and 20-minute movie.
Yeah. Was that in Blender?
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see, what else is there to talk about with this movie? I don't know. What are you guys thinking about with this? Are you excited for the runtime? Are you excited for more of these movies?
I think when I saw the trailer and I saw them do the actual Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other, I thought this movie's gonna be great. Just
like
off that,
like I said,
clip.
references galore. Like they make fun of everyone has an Uncle Ben who dies and everything. There's even a shot in one of the trailers where like one of the Spider-Mans like in a therapy session with another Spider-Man. Yeah. He's like, and then I looked up and the therapist is like, and Uncle Ben was dead. And Uncle Ben was dead.
Yeah.
They do talk about Tom Holland at one point, or like his Spider-Man.
Yes, they do reference No Way Home,
which I think is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting too to see like, well, obviously not now, but what if they had a Kang the Conqueror reference in there? That
I don't know if you can with this story as much, just because that is so to that Earth's Marvel, I guess.
Yeah.
Can they be based on copyright issues?
See, yeah, that's actually a good point too, because this is technically, even though it involves Spider-Man, it is a Sony movie.
Yep.
Again, I talked earlier,
Okay.
Sony Animation.
Yep.
They don't do a lot, but when they do, they hit hard.
Okay, so this is a Sony animation,
Yeah,
not
this
a
is
Disney.
this is
Sony still owns the rights to Spider-Man.
yes, but like when Spider-Man, No Way Home, that was still a Disney movie,
Yes,
not a
they-
Sony
no,
movie.
that was technically Sony,
It was Sony and
primarily.
Disney. Don't they have some deal that
So
Spider-Man?
so how it works is essentially Sony owns the character.
Yep.
And when you see an MCU movie with Spider-Man in it, that's them saying, we give you permission, but we
Yep.
get a certain amount of the profits.
Yeah.
And that's where there was a huge thing a couple years ago where they almost like pulled Spider-Man out,
Yeah.
and they were like, well, the deal like fell apart or
Yeah,
something.
but
like
it was
that.
still a Disney movie, and Spider-Man was in it.
It was primarily Sony, though.
No Way Home was?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
That was a
know
Sony movie that just was in place in the MCU.
It says Marvel Studios.
Well, yeah, they're part of it too. It's like a company, like a board. Like you have a majority stake in the company, but you have other people who are investing in it and get profits off it as well. But it's like Sony is like, I don't know how business works exactly besides what I hear from my mom's soap operas. But from what I understand, they're always like going for that 51%. If you can get that 51%, you're across that finish line.
Yeah.
I guess Sony had like the 51%.
Okay. See,
That's
and I
not the
thought it
exact
was
numbers.
I thought
but
it was the other way. I thought Disney for this Spider-Man, I thought Disney was 51 and
they want to be 51.
Sony was
They want to be
49.
51. No, I believe it's the other way around. This is a Spider-Man movie that's kind of the deal. They're like, Disney's like, you can play in our universe as long as you kind of go along our story, along our narrative.
Yep,
That's
that
where
makes
Venom
sense.
gets a little confusing because it's like, okay, is that actually part of MCU? Clearly it's not. It's part of another thing. Which universe is it part? Anyways, yeah. Sony copyright and their characters is really, really confusing. So we won't get more into that. So yeah, this one's primarily Sony. Yes, they reference the events of No Way Home, but they do it just far enough where they can, I guess, if Disney had a
away
problem
with
with it, they couldn't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what to expect here. Like I said, interesting animation. Super looking forward to it. Not more I can really say about it.
Gotcha.
Also coming out this weekend, for those of you who are not into comic book movies but want a scary movie in June, The Boogeyman, coming
Looks
to
awesome.
theaters this weekend. Another story from the mind of Stephen King. This story focuses on a family after the tragic loss of their mother. To make matters worse, a monster known as the Boogeyman starts scaring the young kids. We keep comparing monsters to the Boogeyman. It's always like, oh, he's scary, like he'll get you like the Boogeyman. Have we ever had a movie or TV show that was just straight up the Boogeyman?
You know,
How
I
did it
gotta
ta-
say,
how did it take this
John
long?
Wick.
John Wick. Oh,
You're getting
Just
ahead of
watched
me.
John Wick yesterday.
You're
he
getting ahead
is
of me.
the boogeyman.
He is the boogeyman.
I was gonna say plot twist at the
That
end of
was
this
good.
movie.
That
It's
was
revealed
good.
it was John Wick all along.
Yeah.
and it,
Sorry, I ruined your.
yeah, you ruined my joke. Usually he doesn't read the outline, so I can get away
Whoa,
with putting.
whoa.
So usually I can get away with putting my notes in here and like not have him spoil my joke. But you actually read my outline, so.
I didn't read that.
Oh, you just didn't.
Oh,
we're just on the same wavelength.
we're
Okay,
the same.
you just ruined my.
Me and you.
Then I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Me and you.
That's right.
So that means
Except-
we're all like this then,
No,
now,
no,
right?
no. Oh God, I think we are. Oh my God. Yeah.
But no, I think you're right. There isn't a whole. I know I've seen a movie where the main protagonist is the boogeyman, or the main antagonist is the boogeyman.
Protag, you're watching these movies all wrong, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't watch this and thought the Boogeyman was the good guy here.
Yeah. I know I've seen some. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know I've seen some. But you are correct. Like a lot of horror films, like, oh, is that the boogeyman? Even in like probably the last Friday the 13th. Yeah. Halloween. Evil dies tonight.
Yeah. The Boogeyman,
The Boogeyman.
dies tonight. Yeah, we keep
Yeah.
referencing the Boogeyman. It's about time he had a time in the spotlight.
Yep.
What is going to happen to the book and movie industry when Stephen King stops writing stuff?
That's a great question.
We're going to lose like 50% of our product to this, right?
Like all of Stanley Kubrick's films, most of his films were all based off books.
Yeah.
You know, it's wild.
Like every other month, it's like from the mind of Stephen King.
Yeah.
And it's
But
either
you know how
based
many
off a
books
short
he's
story.
written?
Yeah, that's my
million.
point. But that's my point is if this guy either just straight up retires or unfortunately passes away or whatever,
Yeah.
like both the book and the movie industry are just gonna.
Yep. Yeah. Speaking of that, have we heard a resolve yet about the writer's strike?
no real new updates there. I guess one small update. I don't know if this is relevant, but Deadpool 3 started production recently.
Yep.
Legally speaking, Ryan Reynolds cannot improv.
I heard that.
They can shoot the movie because the script is written, but he has to stick to the script.
Really?
So it'll be interesting how the movie turns out.
So I think they're going to shoot
like-
all the action
like him.
sequences and all of the stuff where Ryan Reynolds is not talking. And all the stunt doubles and all the extras. They're shooting all of that right now. And then there might be
That'd
a break.
be the smart way to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no way you can release this movie and not have him make some joke about the writer's strike.
Yeah.
Like do some fourth wall thing where he's like I picture there's a certain point, hopefully, and I don't know, there's not a lot of momentum either way. Hopefully this gets resolved here soon, in which case then there's an actual part in the movie where Ryan turns to the camera and he goes, okay, up to this point, writer's strike was going on. I couldn't say anything out of the way that I wanted to. From here on out, you're getting real Deadpool.
I could see that happening.
But the writer's strike has to be resolved within production.
I really hope that happens, and then you just made history right here.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yep, this is it.
We've been predicting so many things that may be happening here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just wait till, what was it, Tom Hardy, Green Lantern? Chris Evans. Who is it that was going to play Green?
You can't even remember your own stupid prediction.
Chris Hemsworth was going to play Green Lantern.
No, that was a rumor you told me that
happening.
you just
Just
think
watch.
is going to happen.
Like Tom Cruise playing Iron Man.
That's still going to happen.
I'm
Still
not going to
gonna
get into it. No, not going to happen. All right. Yeah, that's everything coming out this weekend. Not a lot of options, but some very big options.
Yep.
It's more of a quality over quantity kind of weekend. So let's talk about some things we've seen in the past here. It's time for number one recommends. Reed, since you're the special guest here, why don't you kick us off? Has there been anything recently you've seen that you want to talk about? Oh boy, he's got a smirk on his face.
Ted Lasso.
Oh, you follow?
I love this show. It is one of the best shows I think I've ever seen. It has such good writing. It's funny. It's super deep. It is insanely deep. On the surface level, it seems like just a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But they talk about so many different things like mental health issues, and
Mm-hmm.
it is a fantastic show. I love it. Definitely recommend.
Apple Plus, right?
Apple TV.
Apple TV.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that show, and I started it, and then I discontinued my Apple TV Plus temporarily. I just haven't had a chance to get back to it. But from what I did see, I totally agree, 100%. Mr. Meyerberg, how about you? What do you got?
I'm actually going to repeat something I've said a time before, because the new season of Demon Slayer got released with the English dub. And I know, don't attack me for liking the dub. I like the English version dub. I'm sorry. I like it.
Ooh, boo that man. Boo that man.
But the season 3,
Even though
or
I actually agree with
guess,
him.
the Swordsmith Village arc was released yesterday. So when I get home, that's what I'm watching tonight. Wonderful animation. I can't say it's underrated because it's one of the best animes, like with grossing wise and the movie and everything. But it's awesome. It's really good. It's very good. So yeah, that's what I got for you. That's what I'm watching tonight. Everybody else, watch it too.
You disagree?
I'm not an anime guy.
Oh, okay. You're just not.
I'm not either, but I'm a Demon Slayer guy.
I don't know. I think
sure
you
what that
kind of
says.
crossed that line. You have to say that you're an anime guy now.
I
You
don't.
like one anime, you like them all.
No,
No?
I don't know.
I like
haven't-
one. I like one Iron Man movie. I don't like them all.
Oh, I like all
The third one's the best one.
I love Iron Man. The third one is great.
Third one's awesome.
I like when all the suits come to him and he's like, psh, 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 and they all blow up. That part's awesome.
Duri and Davi.
Did he mute both of us?
No, we could still hear each other.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
But no,
I feel like
kinda
Doctor. Well, if you're gonna keep cutting me off,
yeah,
my turn now.
I was
You've had
gonna-
your turn. My turn.
Okay, next turn. Next
All
turn.
right. My number one recommend for the week, I'm essentially using as an honorable mention to our underrated animated discussion, kind of like what you were. I know you were debating putting Demon Slayer in there as well. This one was right there. I almost put it in there. Spirit Stallion of Cimarron, I think it was what it was called. Is that how it's pronounced? Oh,
Yeah.
what,
Are
you
you
gonna
talking
laugh
about
at
the
my-
movie or the show?
The movie.
Okay.
There was a show?
That's about that horse.
Yeah, there's
right?
the show.
Yeah.
Okay. I just remember a little girl that wanted to buy this spirit toy from Runnings when I was
Yeah,
there.
my kids.
They
They
still sell merchandise for that movie?
It was a while ago.
This movie came out in like 2000,
Yeah.
I think.
But
Like
I know
last
they
year.
had
It was
a
a TV show, I think.
Yeah, they had a Netflix show.
Oh,
called
okay, see,
Spirited.
I'm not talking about the show. I'm talking about the original movie.
Yeah.
So how about you just stop laughing at me and let me?
Okay,
I let you
sorry.
have your
Yeah,
time.
Yep.
Now it's my time.
Oop.
There we go. Yep. This is usually the part of the show when I usually start muting him. I feel like Dr. Evil when I do that too. I'm like, and he gets launched into the lion's den. Anyways, yeah, like I said, this was kind of a transitional period though for animation when we were starting to move out of 2D and more 3D animation, and you could tell they were trying that for a few scenes, and those parts didn't work as well. It didn't look as good. So you could tell they kind of abandoned that and just stuck to the 2D there for a little bit. But I still think it's a pretty, it's not a complicated story, but it's about a horse, trying to be free. And that's kind of cool and inspiring. Voiced by Matt Damon. Didn't know that at the time. You're still muted, by the way.
I didn't know that either.
Dang it, he found a loophole. But yeah, voiced by Matt Damon. I just think it's a quick watch. I remember watching it all the time in my grandma's house when I was growing up. So a little bit of that nostalgic factor I know we kind of talked about too. One of the reasons why I didn't quite put it up there, but I think it's a pretty cool story. But that is going to do it for us here on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. Once again, if you'd like to check out some of the movies we talked about on this episode, check them out at the Marshall Lyon County Library. And to stay up to date and catch up on all of the summer blockbusters, like I said, there's going to be a lot of them this summer. Head on over to the Marshall 6 Theater here in Marshall, Minnesota. For myself, Ryan Meyerberg, Mr. Fantastic Reed Sherman here, we'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies.